What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Can you give us the story on Mark Carney? Is it over now?
I haven't had any conversations with Mark Carney myself. What I did say is when the Prime Minister asked me to be the Finance Minister, he told me that I was going to be the Finance Minister in his government until the next election. I was going to be the Finance Minister to present the next budget, and 2025 will be an election year. So that's the work that I'm doing. And again, I wasn't part of any conversations with Mr. Carney, but Mr. Carney isn't about to become Canada's Finance Minister in the short term. The Prime Minister asked me to start that work and to get ready for a budget in the spring.
So that's Dominic LeBlanc. He, of course, took over from Chrystia Freeland when she stepped down, although he was not the first choice. I don't know. Jim Mennie, what do you think? Is this him saying, look, I'm the finance minister for now, and what, come an election, I get to be the finance minister again? He can't possibly have that assurance, can he?
I don't think so. I got to tell you, we'll get to Justin Trudeau in a moment, but more and more, Dominic LeBlanc over the past few days is beginning to remind me of the John Cleese character in Holy Grail, the French knight with the outrageous accent who yells nonsense down from the battlements to the Englishman trying to get in. He's not really saying anything at all. It's kind of like playing for time. I'm going to be I'll be the finance minister until the next election. Listen, I don't know where you think you are or where you think the people are who you're talking to, but there is a real situation right now where the Prime Minister, the leader of the government, is kind of incommunicado. We have learned, the white smoke came up from the Vatican. There's going to be a cabinet shuffle on Friday, Aaron, and apparently it's because the country still has to function. So many people are leaving cabinet, willingly or otherwise, that we've got to, the business of government has to go on. These jobs have to be filled. I'm going to be fascinated to see who gets the coveted position of Deputy Prime Minister, and whether that person will be of the female persuasion. I guess only time will tell, Aaron. But the fact is, as much as I try to bring a different perspective to this show from other commentators, it's very difficult right now not to echo what's been said by Tom Mulcair, which is Trudeau is giving the impression this is going to blow over. Don't you worry. Christmas is coming. People forget all this, and I'll hit the reset button. No, it's not going to happen. And I can only hope that people who he still may bother to listen to are telling him the damage that he's doing to the party, the damage that he's doing to the country. We're having what's crazy is we're having conversations. I just heard you talking in the last half hour of the show. We're sort of semi-taking what Donald Trump has to say seriously, even though he is just trolling us, and he's trolling us because, like any other kind of spineless coward, he recognizes when someone is weak and indefensible, and someone's easily bullied, and that's what Justin Trudeau is right now. There is no one who's going to buy into this, Aaron. There's no one who's going to buy into a reset button or the fact that this government can be reset. The question is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Justin Trudeau leaves. But as I say, the longer he draws this out, the longer he really he sort of tortures this country by making it seem, I hate to put it this way, as ridiculous and as ineffective as his leadership, the worse things are going to get. So right now, when I see Justin Trudeau, as I pointed out in my offering today, he is not so much occupying the office of Prime Minister as he's sort of like squatting in an empty refrigerator box. Nobody takes him seriously. Nobody's expecting him to actually govern. So you know what? Why don't you just rip off the Band-Aid, move on, let the country move on, let your government and your party move on. But no, we're going and I'll bet you folding money tomorrow, Aaron. It'll be, here are my picks for the new cabinet. I am taking no further questions. Thank you and good night.
That was my next question. Do you think we actually find out anything tomorrow?
Nah.
Beyond who's getting these new posts?
No, it'll be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean the building's on fire? Look at my shiny new cabinet. Isn't it great? Sunny ways, my friends. I'm going to bring this country to the 21st century will belong to Canada. It's getting a little bit scary and a little bit sad. But, and I mean, in the meantime, we do have a political dynamic here where we have someone like Pierre Poilievre, who I am not a fan of either, who seems poised to assume power. Does Trudeau really think he's going to hold out till next October, till the next election? Is that what his plan is? Can't be. And the fact that this would even be countenanced by anyone within the party at this point, given the events of this past week, seems to me absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, you know what? If nothing else, use my old test. Learned it a long time ago, Aaron. When he's doing the presser, or if he does talk to reporters, don't turn the sound on. Just look at his face, and you'll be able to tell where he is.
All right. We don't know what. I imagine this is happening in the morning, so we'll have a better idea tomorrow by the time, the afternoon rolls around, who's going where. If you had to guess, you brought up an interesting point. Of course, Chrystia Freeland, we keep forgetting. We don't mention as much the fact that beyond the finance minister, she was also the deputy PM. Yeah. So you'd have to think for a job like that. And here's I imagine this is maybe the dilemma for Justin Trudeau. If you don't appoint a woman, that ever-growing chant of a feminist, only in as far as he's concerned himself, or do you appoint someone who's a loyalist, who's been by him, someone like a Mark Miller, to take that position?
Well, certainly Mark Miller's name has been front and center in my speculation in terms of the Prime Minister in need of a loyalist, of a friend, and someone who's going to give unquestioning support. Dominic LeBlanc is there. I'm sorry if I'm not coming up with a lot of women's names here, but I really can't think of any at the moment. But once again, the appearances are not looking very good. And whoever tries to read too much into the tea leaves or whatever the choices are tomorrow, you have to understand this is, I hate to put it this way, Aaron, it's drama. It's a segue. It's a diversion. It's a vaudeville that's being carried out. So we will have the illusion that it's business as usual. It isn't business as usual. That house is on fire. We're smelling the smoke every day as Canadians, and we can but hope that sooner or later he's just going to pull the plug on this really, really embarrassing vaudeville.
We shall see what tomorrow brings. Jim, let me turn the focus to closer to home. We saw a missive sent out earlier today. Christina Smith, Westmount Mayor, also Mitch Brownstein, the mayor, of course, of Côte St. Luc. Anthony Housefather signing onto this one as well, basically calling on Valerie Plante to say, hey, you know what? Enough of this. Yeah, we've seen a rise in incidents. It's deplorable. Get your police to do something. De-escalation is not the answer. It's time to start enforcing the law. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think they're perfectly justified in making that complaint, and we are seeing just on the basis of events. They argue that de-escalation has not had the effect of reducing violent incidents. Quite the contrary, it is taken as a sign of weakness by some protesters. And you know what? It's not a matter of no, they took over the protest. The fact is, the protests are being taken over. The fact is, there is violence, there is damage. And the cops, and they point out, they're not talking about any magic bullet here. They're talking about illegal assembly. They're talking about intimidation. They're talking about preventing people from worshiping. They're talking about basically refusing orders from police officers. There is nothing here that is extraordinary. They're not asking for anything extraordinary other than to say, listen, we have learned over and over again. We've had examples over and over again on how these things go south, how things get smashed. It's not a very good idea, and I don't think it's for nothing that this letter gets sent, a day after the synagogue out in Dollard got targeted again by an arsonist, second time in 14 months. If people are beginning to feel empowered again, I think this is a good time to step up and say so and point out, as they do, that right now Montreal in this country, Montreal is the most common city where we'll have events like this, and it's something that's got to stop. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. I think at this point, it's great to smile, it's great to laugh, it's great to say we have the right to demonstrate. We certainly do. But anybody who looks at these incidents, whether it's at the Hall building, whether it was at the synagogue in Westmount, come on, stop treating us like we're idiots. These things are basically accidents waiting to happen. I'll say it politely. And the cops have to take a more proactive role. And frankly, if Valerie Plante is not comfortable doing that, and I think maybe that's what the idea behind this letter is, come out and say so.
Well, what she does say, Jim, typically there's that statement about anti-Semitism, how terrible it is, and we can't tolerate this. But that's as far as it goes. It never escalates beyond that from the city.
Well, I remember we were all saying how terrible gun crime was, and all of a sudden, the cops began having a full-scale program on targeting firearms violence and firearms trafficking. I'm not putting this in the same league, but we're having a specific kind of either criminal or regulatory issue with these demonstrations. The cops have the power to act upon them. They have used that power in the past for some reason. They have been ordered to stand down and not intervene, to de-escalate, and it's not working. And I don't know, if I was the mayor of Montreal, I don't think I want to gamble with the safety of the public or indeed the demonstrators by saying, well, no, we'll just take it easy and better, there's a few broken windows than the right to demonstrate be curtailed. And I don't know. I don't think that's a very smart move to make.
Jim, I asked our audience to start with, so I'm off tomorrow. I thought we'd talk about looking back on the year, events of the year, events in the city, and what you think the best may have been or the worst may have been. What is it for you?
Oh, good Lord. I have to tell you that overall, it's not one single thing. I really think the sad descent of downtown Montreal, it breaks my heart. I don't live in Montreal anymore, but I lived in Montreal for 40 years. And, downtown, no matter where you are, even if you're out in the West Island, downtown is Montreal. And you look at what's happened to downtown, you look at how it's been deteriorated, you look how it's gotten the short end, you look at how really it has been used, as far as I'm concerned, a failed social engineering experiment by Projet Montréal. And you look at how its future goes from dim to totally dark. That, to me, is the biggest and the saddest story for Montreal this year.
I was saying, given the fact that we were just talking about protests, et cetera, and I think back, and it's hard when you look back on a year to remember, remember we used to have encampments. They were in the news every single day. It was kind of like the year of the protest in Montreal, right? I mean, in a sense, we had that one. We had the one at Place Victoria broken up. We had these pro-Palestinian protests seemingly every day or every other day. It's kind of like come for the festival, stay for the protest. It's been that kind of a year in this city.
But you know what? Here's the real shame of that. You're talking about encampments, in support of Palestine. How much short shrift do the encampments, that the growing number of encampments of homeless people in this city, how much attention was paid to that? Because quite frankly, that's far more of an issue for this city and the people who live here than, with all due respect to what's happening on the far side of the world. I think when we have the idea that what our grandparents used to refer to as shanty towns popping up along Notre Dame Street, popping up, on Hochelaga-Maisonneuve, there's something very, very wrong with that picture. And everyone can point the finger and try to, shift the blame. But the fact is, this should be an issue of shame for this city. And honestly, if they can't get the province to come along, I think it says more about the stable relations between the city of Montreal and Quebec than anything else. But honestly, we cannot afford to let this problem get any worse than it is.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, have a great weekend. I'm not going to talk to you until next week. Take care.